Hello to all South Africans and the international community at large, and welcome to the B-BBEE Commission podcast series. My name is Thandiwe Msomi, and I have the pleasure of journeying with you as we understand the B-BBEE Act itself, the work of the Commission as a regulator, and how all this comes together to facilitate transformation in our economy. We're 30 years into democracy in South Africa, and that democracy has ushered in so many opportunities for previously disadvantaged backgrounds in our country. But the biggest challenge yet remains as economic participation and integration. The BEE policy has been critical in integrating previously disadvantaged groups into the community, but we're going to hear it straight from the Commission that is responsible for the implementation of the Act itself and all of its pillars. So I'm excited today to be joined by a few colleagues from the Commission itself to take us through the Act as well as the work that they do. With me today, I have Peter Goabe as well as Lukhadi Modao. Welcome, colleagues. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to having this conversation and the whole series really about the work that is being done. And for the ordinary person out there who's running a multinational enterprise or a small business to actually understand how they can integrate B-BBEE into their work, not only for points or whatever benefit there is for them, but for the actual transformation of communities. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think we can start off the conversation at the Act itself, which is the premise for all of the work that you both do. And so perhaps we can start off with just an understanding of what the objectives of the B-BBEE Act are and how they are meant to function straight from a legislative point of view to on-the-ground implementation. And I think perhaps, Peter, you can start off with that for us and just take us through the objectives of the Act.
Okay. Thank you so much for that warm welcome. My name is Peter Kwabe, as you've said before. I work at the B-BBEE Commission under the Compliance Division. Just to answer your question in terms of the objectives of the B-BBEE Act, it's actually there to facilitate the implementation of the broad-based economic empowerment. So you'll be asking yourself, what does broad-based economic empowerment actually entails? So in terms of the B-BBEE Act, it's actually to facilitate enterprises that are actually managed, controlled, and owned by Black people, as well as facilitate ownership and management by your cooperatives, your communities, and other collective enterprises. And you have another strategy in the legislation which speaks to preferential procurement that is targeted at Black-owned enterprises that are actually owned and managed by Black people, and as well as for your skills development and your human resource, as well as enabling your Black people to be actively represented throughout the workforce. So those are some of the strategies that are within the legislation.
Yeah. And I think building off of that, you've mentioned how, the BEE Act itself is important in getting more Black participation in the ownership of assets in this country. And the BEE Act has been criticized for many years for various reasons. But from the work that the Commission is doing, why is it actually important for Black people to find themselves having ownership and management and control of the assets that we have in this country? And what specific purpose and transformation have you seen that playing in the lives of ordinary people? And maybe Mokhadi, you can share more on that.
Okay, as he indicated, we get many people as previously disadvantaged group. We never owned businesses. As Black women, we're never empowered, we're never able to work, and also the Black youth are given more opportunities now. So the BEE Act is basically to redress the past and give Black South Africans the opportunities to get to own their business, not just to own, but also to control and manage them. So it is important that opportunities are offered also to Black South Africans, the youth and women.
And I think that's very important. And over the years, we've seen lots of things in the news about BEE deals and Black businesses being integrated into supply chains. But on the other side of it, we've also seen the unfortunate fronting, as the Commission would call it, of Black people, Black businesses in corporations without any actual ownership or control of activities and production and management of organizations. So how would you comment on the evolution of fronting as the B-BBEE Act has been implemented over the years, and just how bad has the issue been of fronting in trying to address or redress rather the issues of the past? And perhaps Peter, you can start off on that.
Thank you. Yes, I think you're quite right in terms of the rampant fronting practices that are occurring. But as the regulator, we are here to monitor and actually enforce the legislation as it is. So throughout our work, we do notice that fronting is still rampant, but we are trying by all means to actually root it out. But it will, with the help of the community at large, it will, for them to come forward when they notice that there's a fronting practice that's happening in a particular company, so that the B Commission can come in and actually investigate whether or not there's actual fronting. I think we as the government-owned entity, we can't do it alone. We do require assistance from the public as well. So it is true that the B-BBEE Act has been long in existence. Then we still have a long way to go, but with cooperation and integration and help from other stakeholders, we will be able to then be able to address some of the challenges that we have.
And Mohadi, what are some of the fronting practices that you as the Commission have identified, and maybe any practical examples as well that you can share with us?
Okay, there are many fronting indicators in this case. So you get people whereby they are listed as a majority shareholder within the company or placed under CEO middle management, but yet they are unaware of their duties and what they are responsible for, also not aware of their rights as the shareholder or the CEO within the entity. Also, you get other people whom are placed as middle management, CEO or shareholder within the entity, yet they perform the basic duties within the entity that are similar to their colleagues. They are not practicing their right. They are not making any decisions. They're not attending the meetings within the company as a shareholder. So those are indicators of fronting within an entity. So as a shareholder, you should know what the entity, the finances of the entity. You should know when to sit down and hold meetings. You should make decisions in terms of receiving your dividends at the end of each year. So such you should know as a shareholder within the entity. So if a shareholder of a company doesn't know such information, those are fronting practices, and it should be reported within the B-BBEE Commission, as we will refer for investigation and enforcement.
And I think perhaps, Peter, building on from that, what responsibility do companies that are either giving employees shares or are integrating Black-owned businesses into their supply chains supposed to do to inform those stakeholders of the rights and privileges that they have because of the B-BBEE Act? Does it fall on the actual businesses, or is it also a responsibility that we as Black participants have in integrating ourselves into workplaces and the economy?
Yeah, I think for them, it's actually to involve them in every decision making that the company takes. Because if that is not done, when the verification agency comes and interviews the person and they find that the person is not involved in the decision making of the company, they're unaware of either there's government work or tenders that the company has been awarded, but the Black person might not know anything. So the involvement is quite crucial in the decision makings and the daily running of the company. So they need to be integrated in terms of that, so that they don't lose, the company itself does not actually be found wanting to say that you are actually claiming this Black person as your majority shareholder, but in actual sense, this person is not actually involved in the company as you claim. So that is a form of fronting, because you're just there as a token you don't know what the ins and outs of your company that you are owning 51% shareholding in. So that is a form of fronting. Yeah.
So fronting has been a huge issue when it comes to the implementation of the B-BBEE Act, and companies and organizations not truly embracing all that the policy has to offer in terms of integration and economic opportunity. So in the work that the Commission has done, Peter, how would you define fronting, what it is, and some of the terminology perhaps that the Commission has come up with to identify fronting when it happens?
Okay. So fronting is defined in terms of the B-BBEE Act as a deliberate attempt to actually circumvent the B-BBEE legislation as well as the codes of good practice. Yeah. So it commonly identified through data or information that is untrue, basically, that a company would be claiming that they are B compliant, but in actual fact they are not. Yeah. Based on that particular information. So you have three kinds of fronting practices that we've identified. So the first one is referred to as window dressing. So it's one where a person, or a black person rather, is introduced for tokenism purposes, basically. So the person is introduced or appointed just only as a token. So they will be discouraged or inhibited from actually participating in the core activities of the company. They are actually discouraged from actually participating in the area or designated area that they were appointed on, or even the level that they're on. So that is window dressing. Then you have your benefit diversion fronting practice, whereby a black person is not receiving the economic benefit that are to accrue to that person because of their shareholding in the company. Then lastly, you have your opportunistic intermediary fronting practice. So that one is where a legal relationship is concluded in order to circumvent the B legislation. Yeah, so those are the kind of hectic fronting practices that we have come across.
Yeah. And Mokhadi, when you do get complaints and cases, how do you see the signs of fronting? What are some of the indicators that you look at to try and see what fronting fits into the three categories that Peter just took us through?
Okay, there are many fronting indicators in this case. Firstly, when we look at shareholders, as a shareholder, are you attending your meetings? Do you know the finances of the company as a majority shareholder? Do you attend meetings with the other shareholders? Do you receive your dividends? Do you know your rights as a shareholder within the company? Then we also have employees that are fronted within the company. They are placed under middle management or CEO position, yet they are performing normal duties within the entity as a person who's not a majority shareholder or under middle management. So those are some indicators. You also have willing participants who are willing to be fronted within an entity. So you get a person who is not working, but is promised 10,000 every month to be a shareholder within this company. They are placed under, let's say, 51% shareholding, but yet they are not receiving the rights of that 51% shareholder. That person is only receiving a salary for their shareholding, and they are fine with it.
And these sound like some serious offenses that have huge consequences. Perhaps, Mokhadi, can you take us through some of the penalties that companies who practice fronting might face?
Okay, so firstly, B-BBEE is practiced by both private and the public sector. So not only the private sector is supposed to implement B-BBEE, also the public sector as well. So all organs of state, JSE listed entities and private companies, they are supposed to practice B-BBEE. So should one be found of fronting practice or not implementing the B-BBEE correctly within the company, they will be, a juristic person will be liable for 10% of the annual turnover should they be found of fronting. Also, there'll also be penalties of 10 years imprisonment should also be found of violating the rights of the B-BBEE Act.
Yeah.
Yes, those are some of the penalties, and the magistrate has final jurisdiction for the penalties.
Just to add on that, in terms of your organs of state officials, if they do not report fronting practice as well, they might face imprisonment of 10 years as well. So they are also obligated, whenever they encounter any fronting practice in their work, to actually report the fronting practice to the B Commission.
Yeah, and I think perhaps what's always of curiosity to people is, firstly, people who agree to be tokens. Why do they do it? You know, when they understand the bigger purpose of the act. So maybe take us through a few, experiences you've had of engaging people who have found themselves being tokens, as to why they agreed, and perhaps even on the other side, companies that do practice it. What are some of the things that come out of those engagements that share why they actually practice those things? Perhaps Peter, you can take us through that.
So some of them, they will come not knowing that they were actually fronted, whereas some will come willingly, as you say, that they were willing participants. So it boils down to the economic benefit that they were supposed to receive, to say that you actually use my blackness to get such and such contract because of my blackness. So some of them, they do that because of the economic value that would come. So if the relationship goes sour, some of them, that's when they actually eventually come to the B Commission. But when things are rosy and everything is fine, yes, they don't bother with the B Commission. But as far as when the actual relationship breaks down, then that's when they come to the B Commission.
Yeah, sure. And I think we don't want to see that.
Yes.
We want to see people invest in this for the long term, for the economic empowerment of all people. So I think as we close off the conversation, how would both of you encourage organizations and individuals who may willingly want to participate in things like fronting, to actually internalize the B-BBEE Commission and invest in it, abide by it, not from a punitive role of wanting to avoid the penalties, but actually wanting to contribute to the development project of South Africa. And I think we are in a place in our country as well where we are trying to grow the economy, and we're investing in a lot of projects, and we keep asking ourselves, where are the black people in those projects? So as a takeaway, how would you both encourage the country as a whole to buy into the B-BBEE project and to implement it as best as possible? Mohari, we can start with you.
Firstly, familiarize yourself with all the documents. Know your shareholders' agreements. You don't have to pay in order to be informed what the shareholders' agreement says. We have free services within the Department of Trade Industry, also under the B-BBEE Commission, where you can bring the structure. We have an advisory opinion. You can bring the structure, then we advise you whether your rights will be benefited, whether you will benefit as you go into this agreement. So knowledge firstly before signing any documents, before agreeing into getting into any agreement. It might be nice in the beginning, but in the long term, whereby your blackness, you can see your blackness is making a lot of money, but you're not receiving anything because you signed documents that are binding you to be there. So knowledge is good before signing any structure that you're entering into, before agreeing into being a shareholder within an entity. Familiarize yourself with all the documents before signing.
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
Peter?
Yeah, I don't have anything much to add, just that you must just take the B Commission into your confidence. We are here to assist you in your business endeavors whatsoever, especially when it comes to BEE. We're free and available for you, as Mkhadi alluded to.
Yeah. Thank you so much to you both. Thank you to you at home watching. We look forward to more engagements with colleagues at the B-BBEE Commission as we continue to explore the Act itself and the work of the Commission. Follow the B-BBEE Commission on social media, specifically Twitter, as well as LinkedIn, and stay tuned to all the news and all the episodes that we're yet to release. Thank you so much.